How does the Anabaptist view of nonviolence apply to participating in sports like football or taekwondo?
Well, that's a good question.
Greg?
Well, I was just asked this about a guy who was doing this, what's it called, ultimate fighting, cage fighting. I want to know, is that something that a follower of Jesus can be involved in? And I got to be honest, on the one hand, I want to cut room for differences of opinion on this. There no absolutes. Everyone's got to follow God on their own, seek God on your own, and what's right for one may not be right for another. And there's a continuum here. But I can't, from the life of me, imagine Jesus doing the cage fighting. I've seen it once, and I'm sorry. I just can't imagine it. But you've got Mark Driscoll out there saying that he thinks Jesus would be a cage fighter, so I don't know what to do with that. But I think it's a legitimate question. In fact, I think it's a very important question. I think it's like Brexy said this last week, and the most important thing is to ask the question, because most people don't. At least take it into consideration. Boy, is this really something that we should be watching and or participating in? Now, I think there are things like there's obviously a big difference between playing football on the one hand and going out and shooting somebody on the other. In football, everyone's agreeing to the terms of the conflict, and you're agreeing that this is for entertainment. And so it's and there's a lot of advantages. You get healthy and fit and all of that. So it's very, very different. On the other hand, you got to think, that now there's coming out this stuff. That guy committed suicide because of the concussions that he got, and it's causing brain damage. And so, it's a question worth asking. But having said that, I'd be very careful not to apply any absolutes to it. You have to follow the Holy Spirit on this one, and be willing to obey however He leads you.
Sorry.
No, I mean, that's wise. That there's a number of things that Paul brings up that were pretty serious debates in the early church about ethical issues like this. One being, should you eat meat sacrificed to idols, which was a real concern for that first generation. Now, some things, Paul would say, here's the Christian teaching on this. But other things like meat sacrificed to idols, Paul said, follow your conscience on that. Don't violate your conscience. Whatever your conscience is, that's what you're responsible to. Don't have someone who thinks it's okay to tell the other person it is and get them to violate their conscience. Conversely, don't, for someone who thinks it is wrong, start judging the person that thinks it isn't, but rather each person follow. So there's times when you do that, and I think this might be one of those. That makes sense.